Hello and bless up everybody. I'm making this video because about 3 months ago I purchased an Inspire 1 drone by DJI, second-hand on the internet from eBay in fact. I've only flown this thing 8 times, so the other day, as you can imagine, when I opened it up to take her for her 9th flight with me, the landing gear failed to go up from storage mode. Basically, I would do the remote control settings to lift and lower the landing gear, but I could hear the motor whining as if it was trying to lift the legs, but the spindle was not turning. The motor was sounding, but the spindle was not turning to lift up and down the legs. So with a bit of investigating, I found that the fault is this little unit right here in the center, which is basically this whole piece here is that part. So that whole square unit that is pretty much the inside of the legs. Once you take that out, there's only just the legs. So I rang round lots and lots and lots of repair specialists in the UK that claim to be approved DJI specialists, where basically if anyone knows DJI products, DJI do not send you to anybody else other than their own repair shops. One's in China and one is in the Netherlands, I think. I'm sure it's the Netherlands. So DJI will never ever over the phone, when you ring them up and tell them you've got a fault with your drone, they will never ever recommend you go to anybody in the UK. So don't be fooled by any of these repair specialists that try to play on the fact that they're a specialist. In fact, this will make you laugh. I was in correspondence with DJI at the time, obviously because of the fault. So then I decided that I would do it myself, but I was chatting to DJI, and then I took photographs of my drone like this and the box of bits that I've got, and DJI on their live chat on Facebook, DJI themselves said, I've got a talent there, please email this email address and you can become an approved DJI specialist. So they offered it to me. I've never touched drone before, and just because I was talking to them and showed them what I'd done excuse me, and so back to what we were talking about. Once this drone went wrong, I rang around all the UK drone repairers that I could find, and they would all give me this big speech about how they are approved DJI specialists, which means nothing because DJI do not recommend them. They do the work themselves. These people are just using this as a blag to justify charging you silly money to do simple jobs. Now, I basically rang around 5 or 6, and I was told £450, £500 to change this bit. Even one company actually told me, I'm not going to name and shame, but I should. I rang and told them what part was wrong and what I needed replacing, which is basically this center frame assembly. Center frame assembly is basically the motor to the Inspire 1. So I rang around a few places, and I was being told £450, £500. Yeah, one said the job is £500 because it takes 5 hours to strip down this drone and put this drone back together. 5 hours, he was saying. I can assure you it does not. First time I'd attempted to do this, stripped it all down. I will go through what I've done, actually. Make the video a bit more interesting and longer. What the hell? So, basically this come off the top. Very, very simple. There's 4 screw holes there at the top. And then you lift off the cover where the LED light is. It takes a little bit to get off. You just get a gentle screwdriver in there and lift it up a little bit once the screws are out. You have then 2 here. Obviously you need to take the side supports off the drone, which would be those 2 holes there on either side. And then you remove the cone, which has 4 bolts there, and there, as you know, on a Inspire, which then fits like that. So you take that off, and then these little clips here that are on the front, this one's broken off, I need to replace this. Here, they fit over the framework, so you have to lift that off gently, and then it will come off and on off to the top. Also, the bottom part has got the 2 screws which go into the top cover. Then you've got 4 screws underneath that actually go into the base of the drone. So you take those 4 screws out, and then you have to tug it a little bit to get up here because this bit's stuck down. But it's not hard to get off. You just gently pull it off and it comes off. And then these your plugs and whatnot. You have to pull this bung out of the legs, and then you expose the plugs to the motors. So then as soon as you've disconnected that's your disconnection to the motors. Make sure you take photographs of everything, the wires and stuff, where everything is. And also, a good tip, every time you take something off the drone, one at a time, each piece as you go along, as soon as you get it off, put the screws that you took out of each hole back in to the holes on the part that you've removed. So then when you go back to it, you haven't got to work out what goes where and taking all the hard work out of it, really. And that is pretty much the hardest part of it. So these people are ripping you off, honestly. But anyway, you unplug these, all your plugs and stuff. These little bungs here, and move that, here, they push into like a little cutout that's in the frame. I'll show you on this side. See the 2 little holes? In there and then in there, and it literally just pushes in there, and you unclip the wires or whatever. Where was I? So let me move that out of the way. And yeah, your gimbal and whatnot comes off easy. That's just on rubber mounts, and then you just unplug the 2 sockets there. This bit sits on the, I think that's the front. Yeah, that is the front. That sits on the front there like that, and you've got a screw there, and on the other side, and down here, and on the other side. Ooh, make sure I am getting this right. Yeah, because that's the back. That's the back and that's the front. So yeah. And again, just make sure you take a photograph of what plugs come out of where and what side they went in as well. And again, pull it out, put your screws back in it. I had to take this off because that's that exposes the screws to take the centre body out, basically. So 9 times out of 10 you would never have to even get this far. But easy. There's the side mounts there, and as you can see, screws taken out, and then I tape the screws in the holes if I can't screw them in. This comes off of the bottom as well, literally 3 screws in it, and then at the back there's a little plug. You get a little tiny screwdriver, gently touch the tab so the plug clips out. Job done, that's out. Tape it up with the screws in. And that's it, really. I mean, you can buy these little kits, these little screwdriver kits. And they say they're for DJI drones and stuff. They've just got all the right-sized sockets and star drives and whatnot in it. But to be honest with you, I probably think now I would have rather bought like a proper screwdriver set, literally a proper screwdriver set, rather than this sort of put together yourself kind of thing, because the bits are not great quality, it's not very strong, and most of these nuts on here and bolts and whatnot, they have thread locked before they've screwed them in. So basically it's like a glue. They put a wet glue on the outside of they put a wet glue on the screw or the bolt, do it up, then the Loctite dries and stops the screws vibrating loose and stuff like that. So yeah, don't be fooled. It ain't a £400 job, £500 job, and it doesn't take 5 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours. It takes about 40 minutes from someone with no experience whatsoever to take one of these apart, put it back together. Everything on this drone pretty much is plug and play. I think the only time repair-wise that you might have any issues is with the legs, because if you're going to replace this rod at the end here just on its own, if it's snapped when you've dropped it or crashed it or whatever, I've seen that it's quite hard to thread the wires through these things and get them all to line up and sync and whatnot. So chances are you probably have to replace the whole leg if you was going to do that, but it's going to work out a lot cheaper if you do it yourself anyway. So that's it. Yeah, don't be fooled. They're ripping you off. It's easy peasy to get these apart and refix them. I will say also while I'm here, just before I go, if you notice these bolts here, they Loctite them things so tight that you physically cannot get them off. I mean, I tried with my toolkit and I felt it slip. As soon as I felt it slip once, I knew if I carried on doing it, I would strip it. So I then took the drone to a local car garage who has the correct fittings in high quality tools. Not even they could get it undone. As soon as they turned the screwdriver or ratchet or whatever they used with tight fitting tools, it rounded off each bolt one after another. So this one, this one, and the one on the other side. So what basically they ended up doing is they got a Dremel and they had to make a like a flathead screwdriver incision in each screw, because they just all rounded off and there was another way of getting them off. So as soon as he did that, put a flathead screwdriver in it and it cracked them straight off, because they basically were so Loctite glued that it was virtually impossible to get them off with the thread provided. But don't worry about that, because there are complete Phantom One nut and bolt sets on eBay for peanuts, cheap, and you get every single brand new bolt that goes onto everything on the drone. So no drama. But I will say, when you put it back together, obviously it's just a reverse of how you take it apart. But do remember to make sure you do use a Loctite when you put them back in, because the Loctite is there for a reason. These things vibrate like no one's business when they're in the air, so make sure you just Loctite them back up so they ain't coming loose and your hard work is gone to a great cause, rather than a flop and the drone falls out of the air because a motor falls off or whatnot. So but otherwise that's it. Like and subscribe and even comment if you like this video. I don't really make them very often, so it'd be nice to see what people think. Bless up.